Let's start with a question. What happens when a single, simple typo made by the government completely torches your life? And what do you do when you find out the time limit to actually get justice ran out decades ago? This isn't some made-up scenario. This quote gets right to the heart of a real story about the absolute devastation that a simple clerical error can cause. It really is about a profound injustice where a person's life just completely unraveled. All right, so let's get into exactly what went wrong here. And the crazy thing is, this wasn't some big, elaborate scheme. Nope. It all kicked off with one single, catastrophic mistake: an incorrectly entered social security number. Just look at how fast everything fell apart. It's like a row of dominoes. It starts in 2001 with that one little typo. A few months go by and boom, this person loses their job because of it. And right after that, they're homeless. It just goes to show you how terrifyingly fast a life can be shattered by one mistake. I think this is such a perfect way to put it. This wasn't just a mistake. Calling it bureaucratic identity theft, that really captures it. Because the very system that's supposed to protect you effectively stole this person's identity, their stability, everything. Right? This seems like such a slam dunk case of negligence. I bet you're asking the same exact thing I was. Why on earth couldn't they just sue the government and make this right? Well, this is where things get really frustrating. The answer is tangled up in a bunch of legal protections that are specifically designed to shield the government. These rules create what's basically a legal brick wall, making it almost impossible to fight back, especially after so much time. So the first and probably biggest obstacle is something called the statute of limitations. The easiest way to think about it is like a countdown clock on your right to sue. And once that clock hits 0, your case is over. Doesn't matter how right you are. And get this, in this particular case, that clock was moving at lightning speed. This person had just 6 months to file a claim against the city. 6 months. That window didn't just close, it was welded shut over 20 years ago. But let's say for a second, they had filed in time. They still would have run smack into another wall: government immunity. It's this legal idea that pretty much gives government agencies a free pass for these exact kinds of clerical mistakes. It's maddening. And really, this is the whole point. It's a tough pill to swallow, but our legal system is often built for one thing: closure. It wants to stop cases from being argued forever. But as this shows, that push for finality can sometimes come at the total expense of fairness. Okay, so a lawsuit for money was completely out of the question. So, was that it? Were there any other options? Any other path they could take when the main one was so obviously blocked? This slide really breaks it down well. On one hand, you've got a legal remedy, a lawsuit. That's supposed to be your right, but, the clock ran out. On the other hand, you have a legislative remedy. This isn't a right at all. It's basically a political long shot, like a Hail Mary pass, where you have to convince politicians to create a special law just for you. Super, super rare. So this is where the story gets really interesting. Because when the system completely failed, this person didn't just give up. Instead, they took a hard pivot and started building their own solution, what you might call self-sovereignty. Feeling totally powerless against the system, they did something that was frankly genius for the time. This was way back in 2004, right when social media was just starting to become a thing. They started building a defense not in a courtroom, but online. And this is the core of that shift. It was a total change in mindset. On the left, you've got the bureaucratic identity. You're just a file number, a passive thing that bad stuff happens to. But on the right, you have the managed reputation. Now you're the one in charge. You are the author of your own story. This quote just nails the strategy. By building a powerful online presence, this individual literally moved the source of truth about themselves away from some faulty government file and onto platforms they actually controlled. The whole point was to make sure that if anyone Googled their name, they would find the real story first. So why are we talking about this? Why does this story from almost 25 years ago matter so much to every single one of us today, living in a world completely run by data? Here's the big takeaway. Managing your story online, it's not about being vain or obsessed with yourself. As this whole story proves, it's a critical form of risk mitigation. It's like building your own digital fortress to protect yourself from errors and misinformation that you might not even know are out there. And really, this is what it all boils down to. If you don't take control of your own narrative, believe me, something else will. And as we've seen, that something could be a glitchy algorithm, a data error, or one single devastating typo in a government office. And that leaves us with one last thing to think about. In a world where your entire identity can be twisted by a single data point that you can't even see or control, who or what is writing your story?